Let's look at creating some new tool strategies in RouterCAM. So we're going to go to Nesting, Nest, RouterCAM, Tool Strategies. RouterCAM already comes pre-loaded with a ton of tool strategies. You know, the drills, dados, line routes, female cuts, male cuts, all that. So what we're going to do here is make a strategy to cut out some phenolic resin tops with a diamond tool. So I'd previously defined the material, and I'd also defined the tool, and it's in the tool changer. So what I want to do now is create a new tool strategy. So I'm going to create, say, new, and then I'm going to call this shape underscore diamond. And you can name this anything you want, but this is a name that's easy for me to work with. So I'm going to call this shape underscore diamond. I'm going to click OK here. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to clear all the existing settings, just so because I want to walk you through actually creating those settings. So I'm just going to say yes. So now all this has been zeroed out. Yeah, it doesn't know if it's a drill. It doesn't know what it's doing. There's no tool defined. So you just kind of work your way down the items. So the tool I want to use is the half-inch diamond compression, the tool we defined earlier. So in the layer I want to have trigger this is shape underscore diamond. We'll create this layer in a minute. And I realize that's the same as the tool strategy, so it doesn't have to be the same, but it's easy for me to do it that way. So I'm just going to click OK here. So we created a new layer we're going to use this for. Here's the strategy. Okay, I want this to be the male. I want this to cut out the outside of the part, so I'm going to select the outside male. I want it to run counterclockwise. Since I want it to cut into the spool board, I want to add 0.02 to the depth. Depth by layer. If I hadn't defined a layer or a depth, if I've drawn this in 2D or I got a 2D drawing in, this phenolic resin we're going to use to cut this with is going to be 1.5 inches thick, so I'm just going to tell it there. Now that won't kick in unless there's no depth in the DXF file that I'm going to read in. And let's look at this. Let's say I want to do this because this phenolic resin is hard and it's thick, and I'm going to be using a diamond tool to cut it with. So I'm probably want to do this in at least 2, maybe 3 passes. But let's just say I want to do this in 2 passes and see how this works. My plunge rate on this, I'm going to put my plunge rate in at around 100 inches per minute. And my feed rate, I think because it is a diamond tool, I want to run that at a slower feed speed. So I'm going to put that in at like 300 inches per minute. My spindle speed, I'm going to make that maybe 16,000 RPMs. And I do want to lead in. So I've got my plunge rate, that's how it's going to drop into the material. Here's my feed rate when it's cutting around the material. My spindle speed here is set at 16,000 RPMs. Okay, I want to lead in on this because the material is extra thick. I'm going to put 1.5 inch lead in. My lead out, 1.5 inch. And my overlap, let's just make my overlap 1 inch. Okay. So I've set up I've created a whole new tool strategy. It's a mel. It's which is an outside cut. The strategy's name is shape underscore diamond. It's also the layer name that's going to kick that in. It's going to cut counterclockwise. Here's all my settings what I want for this. Okay, so I'm going to just hit save the data to the database. Okay. Now let's do one other thing. Let's say in this phenolic resin top, I not only want to cut it out, I want to cut a sinkhole into the top as well. So I'm just going to say new, and here we're going to name this one female diamond. Okay, I want to use that same diamond cutter, but I want to come in and use the inside to cut it out. Okay, so I'm just going to click OK here. And this time I'm going to say no, I don't want to clear the existing settings because I want to show you what happens. See, it saves these existing settings because, okay, it's also saved the tool that I want to use. But what I do want to do is change it to a female. And I don't want to use the same layer. I want to create a new layer. And we're going to call this female underscore diamond. And select OK on that. So we have a tool strategy. We have the tool we're going to use. It's going to be a female. Here, I don't want to add anything to the depth. I just want to cut whatever depth we define it at. Depth by layer is fine. I want to do that in 2 passes as well. And since it's the same tool, I kind of want to use it a lot the same way. I still want to ramp in at 100 inches per minute, feed rate 300, spindle speed 16,000. My lead in and lead out is fine. I want to keep all that the same. Okay, so I want to save that to the database. Okay, so we've defined 2 different strategies, created 2 brand new strategies, and we've defined them and we've saved them to the database. Okay, now I want to come over to this side of the screen, go all the way down to the bottom, click in this thing. Okay, so I know one of the things I defined was a male, so I'm going to select male, or male outside, and then this, all the male shapes will appear. So the last ones that I've got all these other ones already defined, but the last one I just defined was shaped diamond. So I'm going to select that. And when I select here, it's going to fill in the layer name that I want to use on that one. Okay, so that's what I want right there. I'm going to come over here and click. And this one again, I also defined a female. So I'm going to go find the female type. I'm going to select here. Female diamond's about the last thing on my list, so I'm going to select that. And then when I let the screen refresh by clicking here, so we've got these 2. Now I want to move these up to where I want these to occur. Since these are cutting out the outside and this is cutting out the inside, I want this female to be ahead of the male because it reads this list when it comes down. When it finds a match in the list, it's going to cut that first. So I want this female one to be ahead of this male. So all I'm going to do is, while it's highlighted, I'm going to come up here to the little arrow and click there. So here's what we're going to have happen. It's going to come in and do the female cut first and then do the male cut. But also what I want to do is I want to move it up ahead of this rip line because I want to cut the parts off square. Okay, so I'm going to back that back down. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just move this up with the other female cuts. I'm going to take this male and I'm going to move it right here. Okay, so what it's going to do is going to find this female diamond use first. It's going to cut that. Then it's going to skip through all these. It's going to find this one and cut this one. I could put those 2 together if I wanted to, but it's going to work just fine this way. So I'm going to select save the data. And we have the data saved there, and I'm going to click OK. So that's the way you create new strategies. I appreciate your time, and